Now, so I wanted to get on to, let's get on to eyeshadow. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. So most of you, I would imagine, have got some kind of compact with eyeshadows in a powder form. That tends to be generally what most people have. So if you have a look here, here's one of my eyeshadow compacts. Okay, now when you're I know this isn't about picking eyeshadows, but some people have asked me about picking eyeshadows. I will tend to pick out about 3 colours, possibly 4 at the most. So when you've got the lighter one, I would tend to kind of use either as a base across the whole eye, or just at the top here to kind of highlight my brow. There always tends to be one with a shimmer, at least one with a shimmer, which you can see that one in the middle is quite shimmery. I tend to put that on my lid because it looks very flattering if you have a shimmer to the lid. And then one of the kind of mid colours that's kind of slightly darker than my skin tone, but not too dark, I would then put in this crease here. Now I'm going to show you a method that I was showing some of my friends before, and they said they found this really helpful for putting eyeshadow on completely with your fingers. So no brushes except for the very end. But I reckon I'm going to try this. I think you could still do it with your fingers. So but if you've got a brush, a bit sort of a fluffy brush like that, and that you can manage to hold this in some way, you don't have to use this to do any kind of detailed work. Okay, I'm going to show you how you do this at the end. So this is how easy it can be in terms of putting on eye makeup. Okay, so I am going to pick a shade to put into the crease here to define my shadow, and I am going to pick, let me pick, which one shall I do? I'm going to do this one up here. Okay, so I'm just going to put some of this on my finger like that, and I really don't want you to worry too much. I'm going to deliberately do this quite messily because, again, if you really struggle, as long as where you feel that crease in your, the crease between your brow bone and where it meets your lid, just try and aim it there in a kind of semicircle. Can you see what I'm doing? Right? If you can do that, don't worry if some goes on the lid. Don't worry if some goes up there. And don't worry if any of it goes down here. Right? I'm going to deliberately make a bit of a mess of this, right? As though my hands are shaky and I can't really aim it correctly at the target. All right? Because I'm going to show you how you can basically clean all of that up. So I've gone for that. I am then going to, you may need to get some wipes here, and you will need to get some wipes in a minute. So I'm going to just get, and the reason you might need to get some wipes is because you might need to use the same finger, and you don't want to mix your shadows that you've just used. And I've now got that shadow on my finger, so I'm just going to clean that off my finger, and I'm going to dry it down, because otherwise if I go in there with a wet finger, I know I'm probably stating the obvious, but that shadow is going to go on a lot more intensely. Now, when it comes to doing your lid and doing the shimmer shade, I can actually tell you that you will apply that makeup better without a brush and with your finger. Shimmer shades on the eyelid always look better when you put them on with your finger anyway. Okay, so what I want you to do now is to actually concentrate on the lid. So the bit that moves, they call it the mobile lid because it's the bit that moves when you blink. Okay, and if you take your shimmery shade, shimmery sort of lightish shade, and if you can, press it on. If not, just wipe it. Okay, if you can press it on, then do that. And again, don't worry about being tidy. Just press it on like so. Okay? And again, I'm deliberately going to make a bit of a mess here. Right? As though, you know, it's going to be a bit difficult for me to hit the target properly. But as long as you can get it vaguely on the lid, and if it goes up a bit where you've put that brow colour, don't worry. And don't worry about this, because we're going to sort that out soon. Okay, now you have got your two colours. Then I want you to wipe your finger again and dry it down, unless you're using another finger, obviously. And then using one of the lighter shades, you may want to use a shimmery light shade, or you may want to, this one's a matte shade, that's fine. Take your finger again and put that, if you raise your eyebrows, because I've got hooded lids, so I often do that. If you can raise your eyebrows and just dot that just below your eyebrow to highlight your brow, like that, okay? And that is your eyeshadow done. But obviously, it looks a little bit messy. Now, one of the things you can do is you can go in and you can rub that through with your hands, with your fingers. And again, don't worry if you're moving it down here. Or if you've got a brush and you can hold it, even if you can only hold it like this, okay? What you do is you go in and blend as much as you can, right? So that you can blur out all those lines. And don't worry, again, whether it goes out of the line or not. Just blend, okay? Like so. You can always go back, if some of it goes down on your lid like that, you can always go back at the end and add a bit more onto your lid, okay? That's not too much of an issue. Now, can you see now what I've done? And obviously there's some here and there's some here. Now, we're going to clean that up. You take a makeup wipe, and if you can manage this, just fold it like that so that you've got a straight line, and from the bottom of your lid there, as if you're drawing a line up to where your brow ends, press it down and swipe it up, okay? And you have cleaned up your eyeshadow. Now, you may have taken a little bit of your foundation off. Don't worry, we can always go back and pat some back on. But you have got a straight line there, and it makes your eye look lifted. Now, with this, just put your hand over and just get that little bit there. So if you've got your hand over your eye, you're not going to poke your eye out. Just get that little bit there that's in the centre of your nose. All right? And again, we can always go around and put a little bit of concealer and wipe that in afterwards. That's not going to be an issue. Okay? And you can see now that you have got a really nice eyeshadow on. So I'm going to do that on the other eye very quickly. And I'll show you how you can blend it with your fingers as well. So I'm going to take that shade again, and I'm going to put it into that little indentation between the brow bone and the lid, like so. Then wipe my finger. And what happens, incidentally, if you forget to dry your finger when you're doing the glitter shade, this is what will happen, is it will just go on more intensely, because it's kind of a way of foiling it and making it look brighter. When you use a shade, a shimmery shade, wet, it's always going to look more intense. Can you see that? It's absolutely beautiful. So if you want to use a wet finger for the eyelid, I'm just going to go over that one. just because we wiped some of it off, perhaps a bit too much, and it doesn't match that one now. Okay, and you can pat that one on if you can. And again, if you want to do it with 2 fingers, 3 fingers, just be very as gentle as you can. And then again, I'm going to wipe my hands, try and dry it for this one, because then you're going to do the brow bone with the light shade here. And again, you can pat this one. And then let's just say you really can't do with holding brushes, or you're frightened that you're going to poke your eye out. Just shut your eye and just sweep your hand. You're aiming, if you can, for where you've got the lines between everything, okay? Don't worry about sweeping it down, because we're going to clean that up. And that's probably a good way to blend it, so that you can kind of get rid of the excess. And, sorry, excuse me, because my nose, I'm just going to wipe my nose on a tissue here, because my nose is running. Okay, so, now, I'm going to clean that up with my makeup wipe. Again, take a clean part, clean it up. I obviously didn't get much in there, but if I did, that's what I would be doing. Just put my hand so it's not touching my eye, and just give it a little dab in the corner there, and you've cleaned that up. And you have your eyeshadow done. Okay? If you feel a bit unsteady about putting eyeshadow underneath, there's no need. If you want to, what I would suggest is you take one of the darker shades, perhaps not too dark, something that's kind of in the middle, and if you can, just press it lightly underneath. This may be a bit tricky, but I'm just giving you options. If you don't feel confident with doing that, there's no need. It just kind of gives you a little bit of a shadow underneath. And that's your eyeshadow done. Now, I did talk to you in the first video, and I went out this morning because I didn't have any clear gloss, clear brow products or clear mascara products. And I picked up a couple, and the reason I picked up a couple is one says a lash and brow perfector, and this one just says it's for the brows. Now, I did say earlier that most things can be used for many things. When it comes to putting stuff near to my eyes, near to my eyes, i.e. on my lashes, I would be careful if something said it was for the brow only, just in case it's not been tested near the eyes. That's the only time I would say be a bit careful about multi-use. This one says it's for both, so it is safe for lashes and brows. But the reason I bought the second one is because when I looked at this brush, it's very tiny and very precise. But I think that might be very difficult for people to hold and use, whereas this one, and to kind of aim towards your target, whereas this one has got a bigger brush. But you see the point, and I'm going to show you both products. So let's just say you want to use a larger brow product. You're basically going to just comb your hair. And what you'll find is, even though there's no colour in it, it will define your brows. Obviously mine are dark, yours may not be dark, but it is very good at defining your brows. And if you end up putting it up here, it's not going to show. Or if you end up putting it down here, it's not going to show, it's clear. And I think that's the way to go. And what you can do is press it down like that, and it will kind of set it. If you haven't got a brow gel and you don't particularly want to go out and buy a brow gel, By the way, you can pick these up really, really cheaply in Boots, whatever, but I understand you might not want to. You can get, I think I saw one that was a brow and lash styler. This one was about £4. I've seen them for about £2. You can get them really cheaply. The other thing you can use is Pear's soap, and you can comb. You kind of have to get a brush though; it's a bit fiddly, and then you comb Pear's soap through, and that does the same thing. Now let me try this one. Now this one is for lashes and brows, and it's got a smaller wand, so it might be a bit trickier to aim for the target, but thinking about it, what does it matter if you don't hit the target and you put it up there? You're not going to do anything because it's clear, so it's not going to show up. You can't see any trace of that up on my forehead, and I've literally just stroked that on my forehead, and it will just define your brows. And then with this one, I'm not going to use the other one because it says it's just for brows. But with this one, I'm going to show you that you can do your eyelashes and it will just give them a little bit of a extra definition. It might not be the same. Again, just showing you the technique. I'm not near enough to the table here because of the camera. But if you put your elbow on the table and hold your arm still, then you can do that. And the other thing is to blink into the brush. So you can hold your hand still, just focus on holding your hand still and let your eye movement blink into the brush, which will actually give you a better coverage anyway. Another lady I was talking to recently online says she goes and has her lashes tinted, which is another option, and you can get your lashes, you can get false lashes put on as well now. So for ladies that perhaps struggle with mascara but have got really light lashes and you can't put mascara on yourself and this isn't really going to show up, that's another option to do. But otherwise, this works really well, and it works really well to do underneath as well. Obviously you can't blink into the ones underneath, so you do have to kind of move them a little bit, but you could move your head instead. If you can focus on holding your arm steady, you can move your head. The other thing that Wayne Goss, who is a real beauty guru, I'm not going to try this with this because it looks a bit too thick, but if you have a mascara wand, you can turn it so that it's at right angles, and that actually makes it a lot easier. So you're holding it like that and the mascara wand is like that, so that you're doing that. I've seen one mascara that actually flips down and does that, but it's really expensive. I think it's a Dior or something, but you know, if you want to have a look, I think it was on John Lewis' site, and I have a feeling it was by Dior, but it is really expensive. And you can actually, if you wanted to just get a cheap mascara and turn it, obviously you've got to turn it back to put it back into the tube, and the only thing about that is it may eventually just break. Or you can get disposable mascara wands from Amazon. I think you can get about 100 for £2. And then you can bend those so that it does the same thing, so that when you're actually putting on your mascara, it's actually doing that. So your mascara wand is like that. The wand is coming down there and you're doing that. It seems a lot easier to hold, and it does apply it really well. So that's another idea for you. Okay, so I've done the mascara, and now I'm going to show you, I was saying the other day, lipsticks you can definitely put on with fingers, and you can put them on as blushes. So I've got a lipstick here. I am just going to put some of that onto my finger, just rub my finger onto the lipstick, and actually it gives a lot more of a natural look. I really should have moisturised my lips before doing this because they're quite dry. So make sure you do that, ladies, because mine are really cracked. And like that. And really, it doesn't matter too much if you go over the line. It's when you start using lip liners and you start putting it on with the bullet that it really notices if it's uneven. And if you stick to a kind of a reasonably nude colour, if it goes over your lip line too much, you don't really notice that much. Now, when I say nude, look at your skin tone and try and look at your lip colour and try not to go too pale either. So you want something that is pretty similar to your skin tone, what your natural lip colour would look like if it was the same colour all over, because none of us have got the same colour all over, and it kind of then just evens out the skin tone on your lips. Now, if I take that lipstick now and I just rub a little bit and I smile there and then just rub that in with my hands, it doubles up as a blusher. And the great thing about this is, I was listening again to Wayne Goss, who is, as I said, a real beauty guru, is that the great thing about this is that your blusher and your lipstick then match, and it brings together a look so well when they match. It kind of brings a whole look together, and they're the similar tones, so it's a really good idea to do that anyway. So can you see how that's been done? Now, if you've got a darker lipstick, or you can get one of these stick bronzers. If you wanted to do a bronzer or a kind of sculpting thing, I've got one that is particularly for that. But again, you could use a dark lipstick. I'm going to show you. This is like a thick lipstick tube. And this you can use on your lips as well. But you can just literally do that and draw a line. Right? Don't worry, I'm not going to leave it like that. And I'm going to put some here because this is going to slim my face down. And I want to get rid of my double chin like that. Right? And this is quite like a lipstick in kind of texture. So it's quite easy to blend in. And then you just go with your hand and you just rub it just below that cheekbone. If you can feel the cheekbone, just keep rubbing until you feel that that's blended in. Okay, and then again just rub that there, rub that there, rub that there, and then under here I'm just going to rub that in to get rid of, and you can rub that down because then it will just blend into your neck. Try and get rid of a little bit of my double chin. I'm going to even do that. And if you've got a pale lipstick, kind of shimmery pale lipstick, you can also do a bit of a highlighter. Again, I've got this one that is specifically for the cheeks. But you can, a paler one that's sort of a little bit more shimmery, you can just put that onto your cheeks and rub that in. And there you have your look. So I hope this has been helpful because I did want to address how to do makeup with just any makeup that you have at home. If you get to the end, and I know I've shown you this with the brush, but again, if you get to the end and it's looking a bit uneven, what have I done with that bottle? Where is it? Oh, there it is. You can just get your spray again, whether it's your priming spray or whether it's your bottle of water or your plant sprayer, and you can just give it a spray like so, and take one of your big chunky brush like there. You see I've got a little bit of a line, and that spray will just help you to blend it in. Okay, or maybe you still feel that your eyeshadow has got a bit of a line. Shut your eyes, obviously, when you're spraying, and you can just, I wouldn't do it straight over the eye, but if you can aim it towards the top where the brow is, as though you're stroking your brows with it, that will just get rid of that top line and it will merge it in. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I will be posting this on Saturday, and any questions, do let me know. And thank you for all the views. You know, that was a lot of views for me in the last couple of days, and lots of lovely comments, and I really do appreciate it. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. Please tell your friends, and if you like this, please press like and please subscribe. It costs you nothing. It just means that you get notifications when I post a new video. Okay, take care. Thanks very much. Bye bye.